All right, let's put the pieces together about how Maduro ties into Russia and Venezuela and Iran and this anti-Western triangle. Because now the dude is in handcuffs, and the US's attacks on these Iranian nuclear facilities were super successful this summer. People know that Trump is not bluffing. And the American military is regaining a lot of lost credibility. And this is all important during this showdown, centering around who's going to set the rules for space. Because we've got our guys on the Artemis Accords. Here's us. We've got Japan, India, a lot of friendlies, United Kingdom. And on the other side, there's the International Lunar Research Station. This is going to come back because all this is connected. Maduro getting captured, these really serious protests in Iran, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine and the Shadow Fleet. When our Delta Force went in there, these dudes, while the Chinese actually had ambassadors in Venezuela, it just totally uncovered that Venezuela could not rely on these allies like Russia, who they gave a base to, and Russia, who sent the Wagner Group mercenaries to Venezuela just last month, or Iran, who was using Hezbollah to prop up the regime. Because as all these Venezuelans around the world rejoice because they're not held hostage by basically these dictators anymore, Russia just condemns the attack. Interesting, because they had warships in the area. These guys just condemn it, and they've got a lot of money at stake. They put a lot of money into Maduro. These guys condemn it, flagrant violation. Too bad, mass protests, got something else to look at. And despite what the media says, it seems like this lady, Maria Machado, the Iron Lady who won the Nobel Prize, bringing a lot of credibility to our situation because she seems to be working with the Trump administration. We helped her leave. Trump's on record saying that he speaks with her. And a couple of weeks ago, she was interviewed about the transition after Maduro. And the article confirms that we have been working on day after plans for a while. She said that Maduro's going to leave and we're focused on a peaceful transition. And it's important to realize that we've done all this before. We invaded Panama to get a guy very similar to Maduro out in 1989. And when the military operation ended, we basically took over governance of the country for about 4 years and then turned it back over to him. But in the meantime, we're going to get control of $17 trillion worth of oil, which is going to totally reshape the global oil market. And I'll tell you why that's important. Because now Trump has said we're going to be strongly involved. I mean, we're going to dictate what happens with the country's oil industry, not take the oil, but what happens with the industry. And this is sending shockwaves through energy markets and diplomatic circles. Yeah, because we could basically influence the price of oil and we can drive it down, which is actually not about us making any money. It's about putting pressure on places like Iran, which rely on oil revenue. In fact, low oil prices is what's causing them to have soaring inflation. They can't subsidize things anymore. They're basically going broke. And it also impacts Russia. They have this whole shadow fleet that they rely on to basically get oil out into markets and make money. Vessels like these. But Ukraine's got these drones that have been hitting those shadow fleet vessels. These guys here, these autonomous sea drones. And it's threatening Russia's ability to pursue the Ukraine war. Their oil revenues are plummeting. Moreover, Russia has this launch pad, the Soyuz launch pad, which basically is the only place apart from SpaceX that can send parts up into space to build things. So be thinking about the International Lunar Research Station partnership versus this, the battle to set the rules for space. And it looks like the damage was so bad that Russia might not be able to send heavy lifters into space for like 2 years. No crew, no ISS stuff. And we know that they can't do it because they're still trying to copy SpaceX. So Team International Lunar Research Station, not looking so good. So now you've got these three anti-West dictators, Maduro, Iran's supreme leader, and Vladimir Putin, basically relying on essentially running drugs and selling oil to be anti-Western and counter the United States. Well, the US is going to be governing Venezuela for a while. Iran's system is sliding towards collapse, and Russia not doing very well in Ukraine with their oil revenues, which they pay for the war stuff with, plummeting. And now in the space race, it's looking like the other team can't send parts up to space. So yeah, looks like we're winning.